You know how there's always this very prominent family that has had succession over years, kind of like the royal family, and then one person just comes to fuck it up like Harry? That's what this generation of Alec and probably one of his son, Paul, did. By the time I'm done with this story, you're going to think that this family played with a Ouija board. You know what a Ouija board is, right? Like, that scary game, spiritual game that when you play, you have bad things happen to you and your family, basically. That's what I feel. Maybe they did. Maybe they did play with a Ouija board because the coincidences and it's like all the curses were just on them. Because I mean, when you're reading the story or you're listening to the story, you're going to think that, okay, yeah, bad family, yeah, we have bad families all around the world, families that do evil things to protect themselves. That's what I thought they were. I was like, okay, no matter what happens, they're going to stick together and they're going to do bad things together. But little did I know. So can't wait for you guys to listen to this one and the updates. This case is actually very lengthy because there's a lot of background, there's a lot of stories in between stories, but I'm here to break everything down to you and make it just without the whole 1 hour long video or 2 hour long videos. I'm just going to make it seem like just give you the deets and the basics of everything so that you just have an information on what's happening in this world and how fucked up some people are. So we're going to be talking about the Murdaugh family. Since the 1920s, the family had lived in South Carolina, Hampton, and they are known for having the lawyer brains. So the Murdaugh family has held a very important role in the legal system. For 85 years, one person has held the position of solicitor, which is equivalent for district attorney. So this is basically, saying that this particular town has had this particular family that has had successors over time because, they are very important, they are very, they've been doing good things in the past. I mean, up until this generation, they basically had just ruined their family line, just like that. Just like how Harry just ruined the royal family in a go. That's kind of off points, but you know what I mean. So Alexander Murdaugh graduated with a degree in political science from the University of Southampton in 1990. When he graduated, he was admitted into the SC Bar Association and became known for representing people. He specialized in wrongful death lawsuits, and even though some of his mates were saying that there's nothing really special about it, it's just like how in the Kardashian family, like some people say that there's nothing really special about Kendall. But when you have a family, and a background, it just kind of makes you seem bigger than you're not. You know what I mean? You're basically just like every lawyer right now, and every lawyer, or you did not even graduate the best, but you're just seen as this prominent because of your family background. It's there. It's understandable. It happens everywhere. Just not that. So people from the outside were saying that, oh, they're just jealous, blah blah. I don't think it's jealousy. I think it's actually facts because it happens a lot. He met his wife Maggie in college, and they had 2 kids, Paul and Buster, in 1999. They were very well known in this area and very, very popular. Very wealthy as well with their connections in line, allowing them to get away with things that they usually would never allow anyone in that particular town or even anywhere in the world get away with. And obviously for Paul and Buster to grow up in this type of neighborhood or with this kind of family, you already know how spoilt these children are going to be. And funny how it is because of these children, or let me be specific, Paul in particular, and the way he's spoiled that actually led to the downfall of this family. So Paul is spoiled, yeah, we've already figured that out. Paul is a spoiled freaking brat. And he thinks that he gets away with everything, which he does. So it's not like it's a new thing. He gets in trouble a lot with the law, drinking and driving, especially drinking a lot. He was just an alcoholic. You're freaking 16 or 17. Why can't you just put your these money children? So now let's see what this boy did. On the 23rd of February in 2019, Paul borrowed his father's boat. I don't even think he asked for permission because it wasn't stated anywhere. I've tried to check anywhere, but I doubt that the father, well, they might even have allowed him because, like I said, sport. So he borrowed his father's boat and went on a boat trip with his girlfriend and 3 of his other friends, or 4 of his other friends alongside their girlfriend. So it was like a couple of 3. That's him and Morgan, his friend Connor, and Connor's girlfriend Miley, then his friend Anthony, and Anthony's girlfriend Mallory. So they usually hang out together, usually, and I'm sure this is not the first time that they get on a boat. You know, they probably like do this a lot, because for them to like have willingly just entered with him, you know, thinking that everything is just going to go the normal way that they would have. So Paul is not old enough to drink or buy alcohol. So he uses his brother's ID, which is his brother Booker, to go buy alcohol. And you can see in the CCTV that he buys this alcohol, and, you know, inside the car, he's even waving the alcohol, you know, like happy that he was successful, and his friends are cheering him on in the car and on the other side of the CCTV. So the plan was to use the boat to go to another friend's oyster roast through the boat route, and, you know, just have fun and whatever. And after the oyster roast, they were going to head to their river house, where they will have rooms for, you know, them to do their separate deeds. And mind you, the river house is different from the hunting house, because, you know, rich people, the river house and the boat house, and then a normal house, and then house across states. Like, wow, I wish. So like, this is just to show you how freaking bloody rich this family was. So when they went to this oyster roast, they basically had fun, you know, and it was time to head back to the river house. And everybody that was at the oyster roast was like, yo, Paul, you can't freaking drive this boat, because this boat has no light header. That's even besides the point. You are drunk. And Paul was like, nah, I do this all the time, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, like trying to fight it off and whatever. And it's just really funny, because even the people that came in the boat with him were telling him that he was too drunk to drive the boat, obviously. And I'm just like thinking, this isn't even like the road. Like, I mean, I would actually even say that if it was even driving on the road, it's actually even more dangerous than water. Or am I flipping? Maybe I'm flipping. Maybe I don't, because it's night. It's night. And I feel like at least when you enter the water, you have more chance to survive than going head on with a car. But I feel like maybe they've been doing this a lot. That is why they actually even entered the boat with him, because you guys yourself have said that he's too drunk to drive. So why still enter inside the boat with someone you know is too drunk to drive? You know, and not only this, before he even entered the boat, he went by a nearby bar and started drinking. Like, we are just complaining about you being too drunk. Why are you still drinking? And mind you, it was not just him that went back into the bar to drink. Connor also followed him to drink, while the others just went to the dock to wait for both of them to finish whatever. Connor also was part of the people that were also saying that he was too drunk. So like, I mean, okay, we can excuse Connor because Connor is not driving. So if Connor wanted to drink all he wanted, Connor can drink. But I don't know why you know, this person is driving and then you're going in this boat with him and you guys are not stopping him. Or even if you're not stopping him, just say, I ain't going. I'm gonna sit here and sleep on the street than to go with a drunk. Oh, like the fuck? So they are done drinking and they head to the dock. And Mallory and Anthony are, you know, just walking around the dock side, talking to each other. And when they see that these people have come to the dock, they enter the boat and now they have taken off with the boat. And inside this boat, that is when they realize that Paul was beyond intoxicated. You know, sometimes like you don't get like really intoxicated till you are just quiet, you know, like everywhere is just quiet. And so I'm guessing he was just driving the boat, and that's how they were saying that this dude was not even paying attention to the direction of the boat or where the boat was going, and he just immediately started becoming aggressive. The girls even got scared inside the boat and they told him to stop, and he was like, no, he was resisting. He said he was not going to stop the boat, because if he stops the boat, how are they going to get to wherever they were supposed to get to? He spat on Morgan and he basically started insulting his girlfriend. He would leave the steering, go to the back of the boat to argue with her, then go back to the steering and try to control the boat where he left off. Like, so Mallory obviously in this process felt very unsafe, and that was why she told Paul to take them back home. I'm actually thinking that the home was actually to the oyster roast that they actually just came from, because their home was on the other side of the water that they were going to actually, but it was closer to go back to the oyster roast. So even Connor started to get scared, so and try to control the boat when Paul would leave to go fight with his girlfriend. And anytime he turns around and sees Connor there, he shouts at Connor and basically starts yelling that this is my boat, I'm the only one that knows how to drive it, don't drive my boat. So Connor would just leave the boat. Like, when I was reading this, I was like, this has to be a joke. Imagine I'm driving and then someone that is drunk that owns the car tells me that I'm the one that owns my car, I'm the one to drive it. Either I come down from that car and I'm not driving with you, or I'm the one driving that car. And it's crazy because Connor was also drunk, but he wasn't as drunk. He was also intoxicated, but I don't think he was as intoxicated as Paul. So at least he was a better fit to drive the boat. And for him to have even been driving the boat for like the first 5 minutes or before Paul came, that basically means that at least he knows some knowledge of driving the boat. So it's going to be either him or nothing if I was in that boat, because we're going to restrict Paul to the ground till we get to our destination. And you guys basically know where this story is heading. Unfortunately enough, what you're thinking happened. It happened. And sadly, it wasn't Paul. So now they are going towards the direction of where they were coming from. It's 2:20 a.m. It's dark. It's foggy. They can't really see anything. And the boats have basically no headlights. The boat was still on the water driving area around Arca's Greek Narrowway. And then he crashed the boat into the pillar of a bridge. And you guys, when I tell you that crashing on water is not freaking funny, I've actually had an experience. Maybe one day sometime when I'm over like the trauma or something, I will do a video on it, but it's not funny. And we were lucky in that because number one, it was actually afternoon time, and the way my boat hit the pillar of the bridge was from the side. It wasn't like head on, and the pressure wasn't that much. It was the boat actually stopped on the water, and the pressure from the water was what made the boat hit the pillar. But this case, it was actually the force from the boat that hit the pillar. So there's no way someone was not going to get hurt, or that boat was not at least going to like get some damage and probably start sinking. But from the way everything and the visualization of this case was, I'm thinking that if Mallory was sitting on her own and not on somebody, nobody might have gotten hurt. But we never know how these things work. You're not in a situation, so you can't really see what couldn't have happened. Talking about how Paul was behaving and trying to convince Paul to stop, and that was when this happened. So everybody could get a standstill on the boat, but Mallory couldn't because she was sitting on Miley's lap. So immediately the boat hit the pillar of the bridge, Mallory flew over. Done. Did. Like, there's no way about it. And it's so crazy because at that point, you don't even know if she knows how to swim, but they didn't even hear any noise. Before they came back, they got themselves back after the accident and finding out if everybody was okay. They just found out that Mallory was nowhere to be seen. They start calling out Mallory's name over the waters and they do not see Mallory. So we don't even know if Mallory sank at this point, or if she went to shore, or if she entered the water and maybe she does know how to swim, or when someone enters the water at first, maybe they're not sinking immediately, you can still see their hands, they saw nothing. Anything could have happened to Mallory. She could have even been dragged by a wild animal. Nothing. They knew nothing. So the boat still worked. So immediately they got to shore, they called 911. Immediately the cops come, you can see Paul is not even fazed at all. He was even actually smiling by the time the cops came, and Connor and Anthony were very angry. Mallory's boyfriend, Anthony, was not even going to say anything to the cops in the first place, but when he saw Paul smiling, he lost all control and told the cops that it was actually Paul that was driving and that they wish them luck because there's no way this dude is going to get punished. Because do you know who this is? This is Alec Murdaugh's son. It's so funny because even when you listen to the recording, you can see the cop literally shut up when he finds out whose son that is. That's so crazy. Like, I thought Nigeria was like bad with their corruption and shit, but like, I mean, we're still the worst, but I didn't know that things like this. I thought that like no matter how prominent you are, you know, like Tory Lanez, you know, when you do something, you're gonna get punished. But apparently, things like this have been going on for a while. Even death cases within the Murdaugh family. I'm going to just keep on watching this. You're gonna get some tea later in this case. So the cops took the 5 of them to the hospital, and that was when Paul's father came to the hospital and told the 5 of them not to speak on anything. And they checked them for injuries, and they were actually all fine eventually. Connor eventually ended up filing a petition that he was being framed for being the one driving the boat, because Paul actually denied driving the boat. So if Paul didn't drive the boat, who did? And for the fact that the grandfather told all of them not to speak to the police, and all of a sudden now the news going around and what Connor is being told is that Connor was the one driving the boat. So Connor was like, I ain't taking the fall for this one. You know, your Alec Murdaugh's sons to just cuckoo say that you were the one driving the boat. You know, you're going to get out of it anyway. So just say the truth. Don't lie on me, you know. For 7 days after this incident, they really tried finding Mallory's body. But on March 3rd, of 2019 rather, they found Mallory's body floating across the riverbank. She was located 5 miles away from where the crash actually happened. It's so crazy how waves and like, you know, everything just moves things so quickly. So Mallory's family and other people in the town knew that Paul was not going to face the consequences of his actions. But that nevertheless did not make them quit. They still tried their best, as Mallory's family, to file a lawsuit against the bar that sold them the alcoholic drinks, even though they were underage. And she also sued Paul's family for granting an underage child access to a boat and driving under the influence. The reason why she actually filed the bar was because, you know, she wanted the bar to also fight Paul, you know, like get everything stirring up. Like she wanted the news out there and know what Murdaugh did to her daughter. So Paul was eventually indicted for boating under the influence causing death and 2 counts causing great bodily injury on April 18th of 2019. Paul was given special treatment in court. Like he wasn't even handcuffed on his way to court. They took his mugshot on an iPhone 7 outside of the court. Like, what kind of sorcery is this? Like, connections are crazy. Like, connections are really crazy. I didn't realize how crazy it was until I found out the history of this family, and I'm like, wow, Jesus. All that money and you use it to do evil. I will just be a Pilates queen and being lawfully happy and even giving out money. You know, because like, what's the point of having so much? You're gonna die anyway. So like, you have so much money and you use it for things like drinking and killing people. I know you're confused about the killing people part, but just keep watching and continue listening to the case. On May 6th of 2017, he was brought back to court and pleaded not guilty on all charges. The court ordered a mandatory mediation between Paul and the Beach family on June 4th of 2021. It was unsuccessful, so because it was unsuccessful, there was supposed to be a trial 3 days later. But before this could even happen, Paul was already dead on the 7th of June. On the 7th of June of 2021, by around 10:07 p.m., Alec called 911. That's Alex Murdaugh. And he reported that his wife and his child were laying unconscious near the dog kennel and they were not breathing. This apparently happened on their hunting property, and there were 2 different gunshots for each of them. Maggie was shot with a rifle while Paul was shot with a shotgun. So the police came and, you know, they didn't really have enough resources to carry out this case. So that is when SLED took over this case. And just within a day of investigation, the SLED had announced that there was no threat to the public and that there was no danger to the public. Just within a day, in fact, under 24 hours, does this mean that they know who the killer is? Do they think this is a revenge killing? Or are they covering up for something that they are not supposed to? I don't know. Keep listening. So there are many theories, many rumors, and one of them is a boy not too long ago in that particular account called Stephen actually died. He was basically killed. His head was smashed on the ground, and his car was left open in the middle of the road, and he was just out on the floor of his car with the car door open, dead. And some people said that he was gay and he was having something to do with Buster. And Buster was out of town at that time apparently, and it was said that Buster came back to town that day, which is obviously one of the sons of the Murdaugh, and he was the one that actually killed Stephen, because Stephen just came out in the middle of the road and was trying to do something with his tank, but it was seen that the tank was already filled up. So why would he open his tank of his car? He probably wasn't even the one that opened the tank of his car. Probably the killer did it. It was just a very weird case. So the case was reopened by SLED, so which made everybody start thinking that, maybe the family also had something to do with Stephen's case. Alec also was a prime suspect to the public at this time. They found it very weird that he came out with a $10,000 reward for anyone that could find information on who killed his son and his wife. And this was for a limited amount of time. After a particular amount of time, he took the offer up. Like, if you really want help, like, why would you take the offer up? It was like a very weird thing to do, very sketchy. It's giving sketchy vibes. It's giving sketchy vibes. And even the fact that he put up a reward in the first place was giving sketchy vibes. But to me, that wasn't sketchy at all. Because, he's rich. So he just motivates anyone. And maybe the killer had an accomplice, he would just fly him out for the money. Duffy Stone, who is one of the lawyers that was supposed to be representing Alec, pulled out from the case. And why is that? They made an interview with him, or they did an interview with him, and he basically said, and I quote, "Telling my reason why I am removing myself from this case violates the code of ethics. Telling that this case happened 2 months ago and no one has been caught. That should tell you your answer." Everyone was like, what do you mean? There have been a lot of cases like this, or killings, that we don't find the killer for years. So what do you mean by 2 months? And that should tell us our answer. Like, what do you mean? Then other people started speculating, like, is he trying to say either Buster or Alec himself murdered their family? That cannot be it. Because, everybody already knows the Murdaughs, right? Long history generation. They love each other, stick together, connections, always locked in. So this case is going on. Everyone is trying to wonder what happens. The town is in uproar. Everybody is like scared that maybe the killer is still out there, even though SLED had said that there's no danger to the public, which they did not believe, because some people, and most people actually believe, that the police was covering up for somebody, So on the 4th of September of 2021, Alec was going to Charleston, and on his way to Charleston, he had a flat tire. So he came out of the car and tried to change his tires or look at it or whatever happened. And Alec got shot. Don't worry, guys, he didn't die. Even though low-key we want him dead. But he wasn't killed. He called the police immediately and he reported. The police came to the scene, and Alec basically reported that, someone came out of a pickup truck and shot him, and the bullets grazed his head. It didn't hit him. Thank God, and everything. And everyone believed him, even the police, actually, saying that, this is actually a family target, that they are a family target and people are after them. But the police started getting suspicious when they started seeing 2 days later that it was released on the outlets by his PR team that Alec was shot and in critical condition. Like, they saw him, they saw that he wasn't in critical condition. And yeah, he was in the ICU and he came out 2 days later. And this made the public be like, I thought you said like you were glazed, and if you were really in critical condition, you wouldn't have come out of the ICU in just 2 days, so people were kind of like picking up like, okay, this dude might be fucking lying, like this dude, we gotta watch you, like, we have to watch you because like you're giving sus vibes. But nothing was really said here, nothing was really like put out here. They were just giving out theories and what they thought. That's what people always do. His PR team also put out a statement from Alex that he was resigning from his law firm, and this is actually the law firm that his great grandfathers like built, and he was now a person, a prominent person in there. So he said that he was resigning and he was going to go to rehab, that he had been dealing with drug use and depression and alcoholism because of the loss of his family members. And, you know, people believe, but obviously, like, this is like a tangible reason, you know, how he lost his family and everything. But actually, what happened was that a day before he was shot on his way to Charleston, the law firm actually began an investigation in their law firm because they found a suspicious check in his desk when he was not around for a while. And, you know, this check was making them like, you know, we gotta check what the hell this dude is on. And they go into the company account, you know, try to find out everything and see what's happening. And they find out that Alec had been stealing money from clients and embezzling money from the funds of the company into his own personal accounts. Thousands and even up to millions. And no one knew. And it's just quite unfortunate for Alec that immediately he put out this statement, not even up to an hour or 2 hours later, the law firm, put out their own saying, that's the PMPD law firm that he was working for, that his great-grandfathers built, that this was the reason why they removed him or told him to withdraw from the company. So it was like, okay, now people are seeing two different stories, and now people are seeing Alec as a liar, you know, like, supposing he just came out and said the truth, like, you know, people would have been like, okay, he's a truthful person, at least he said the truth. Yeah, he embezzled money, that doesn't really mean anything. You know how people like always like say, like, just because you said the truth once, that means you're, you know, and then pity because, you know, his family is dead. So I was expecting that if he had said the truth, people would have actually believed him up until the very end. So things just get crazier from on here. People are already seeing Alex as a liar, yeah. So 10 days later, after this mysterious shot, an ex-employee of Alex, Murdaugh, came out saying that Alex had set him up and Alex wanted to make it seem like he was going to murder him on the 14th of September. And everyone was like, what the hell do you mean? Even the police was like, what the hell do you mean? So his name actually is Curtis Edward Smith, by the way, you know, if you were interested. You know what his name was. So Alec admitted that the attack was a suicide attempt orchestrated so that his son Buster would receive a $10 million insurance payout. Alec said his drug addiction was made worse by Curtis, who was selling him these drugs, and Curtis helped him to stage the suicide. So Curtis was arrested but told the police a different story. He said Alex set him up and he was asked to meet him. Then Alex asked him to help him to commit suicide. So when he got to the location that Alex had called him to, Curtis then asked him to help him commit suicide. And this dude said he was like, hell no, like everybody will know that I came to meet you because when they see your history, chat history, call history, I'm going to be on the freaking radar. So why will I come somewhere that you called me to and then all of a sudden, even if you die, of course everything is going to be on me. So Alex was like, you know what, fine, I'm not going to freaking do this anymore, and carried the gun from inside his car and was basically about to shoot himself. And Curtis basically ran towards Alex's car and started wrestling the gun away from Alex. And in the process of the wrestling, the gun shot off. And, you know, that was basically the story that Curtis said happened, which actually makes more sense to me. But again, there was a call from one of the neighbors around, or someone that was just driving past, that called the police around the same area, that they saw a man with blood from his ear down, and that it looked like a setup actually. So that was why they didn't stop or try to help or whatever. But we are really unsure on if this was actually Alex or another person entirely, because I mean, he did say that he grazed his ear or his head. Did he graze his head? Curtis said that he had no injury whatsoever, but Alex said that the bullets grazed his head, and that was why he was in the ICU for 2 days. So on the 16th of September in 2021, Alex turned himself in and he basically got out on a $20,000 bond. The charges were against him, including suicide attempt to commit insurance fraud. Other lawsuits were still coming up for Alec, including in different crimes, but this was just basically the, you know, the top one at the moment. On the 15th of September 2021, Alex was sued by one of his former ex-employees' children named Gloria Satterfield. She was their housekeeper and basically helped raise Paul and Butler for over 20 years. She was found in the bottom of the stairs in their hunting household. And when she fell, his wife, Maggie, called 911. And you guys, when I was even listening to the call that she had with the police based on it, she sounded so calm. It sounded like what happened did not just happen. It just sounded like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe because I'm a panicked person. When something happens, even with like really little, I scream, I shout, I make a big deal out of it. I'm like, you're too calm for someone that basically just fell and hit their head and is unconscious, like so. And why didn't you call the ambulance or medical care? Why is it the police you called immediately? But like I said, maybe I'm reading into it. So apparently she actually fell and her head was bleeding, but on the 26th of February in 2018, she was pronounced dead. So the police and investigators asked the family how this came to be, and it was basically saying that they basically said that she not seen because I don't think there was an investigation or an autopsy even done. She fell or tripped on the family dogs. The family dogs was passing, downstairs, and she tripped on them and just fell and hit her head on the stairs. So basically, that was basically the end of this case. I don't think they made a huge deal out of this. Her family was distraught, they were sad. And what Alec did was that she called her family members and told them that they should sue him for $505,000, which his insurance will pay back to them because he felt bad for what had happened. He also gave them a lawyer, Corey Fleming, which was also his mate in law school. They were roommates, so they were very good friends. And he told them that Corey Fleming was going to defend them in court for the whole insurance settlement case. And, they were happy at least, they were getting something out of it. They weren't going to be like really sad and then struggling financially too. So they thought that this was a good man that was, trying to help them because he feels bad for what happened to their family member. So Alex was handling everything right, and he eventually passed this on to Corey. So Corey and Alec were basically handling this whole matter. So they passed the whole petition down to an investment banker, which eventually took it to court, and that's how the courts eventually released the $505,000 settlement to Corey Fleming. And unfortunately enough, the housekeeper's family got nothing. They didn't even know anything still at this point, so they just thought everything was still going on in case because, yeah. The check came on the 7th of January in 2019 in the name of Chad Westendorf, which is basically the investment banker or another corrupt person that is involved in this case. And they transferred $403,000 to an account called Forge. Literally Forge. Like, oh my God, you're not even trying to hide the fact that you're stealing money. You're not even trying to hide the fact that you're stealing money. You're just doing it openly. Yeah, it's like going to kidnap someone and then you're asking for ransom and, the account number that you're using is called kidnap. Like, make it make sense. God. It's like calling the account name stealing. Like, really, just stop. But I understand why people didn't really notice anything, especially the government, because Alec did a really good hiding job because when he created the account, he linked it to 3 other accounts. That's his normal account, business account, and this one was going to be the 3rd one. And Alec basically set up this account to steal from investments from that IPMB law firm I told you about earlier that they did an investigation and found out that he was stealing when they saw a suspicious check in his drawer. So he was just using this account basically to steal a lot of money. And mind you, the Satterfields knew nothing about it. That's the housekeeper's family. They were just like chilling, waiting for the money to come in. And they didn't see any money and, just hoping that it was going to come about. I don't think they even understood what the hell was going on in that court. Like, it's just so crazy. This boy was basically siphoning money from under their noses and they did not know a thing. Like, they did not know a thing. Damn. And in that Forge account, there was up to like $3 million worth of embezzled funds from the investment fraud, stealing, obviously, as you can see now, lawsuits, fraud. Like, the Satterfields didn't know what was actually going on. All up until, they were following the case on TV, the news, and they found out that this dude basically lied about the amount of money that he gave the Satterfield. So they filed a lawsuit, and tell me, these Satterfields actually received 100% of the money, which is $4.3 million. Jesus Christ, they are set for life, which is even way more than, like, that's like more than 5 times or 4 times the money that they were going to pay them eventually. They did $4.3 million for like settlement and worry and all that. Like, that's so lucky of them. Like, that's so cool. Like, I'm so happy that like they finally like at least knew what to do eventually. So the sled opened up Gloria's case again. That's the housekeeper that fell to the ground and hit her head, because now nobody was believing the Murdaughs anymore, or this particular Murdaugh to be particular. So when they won this court case, Alec and his lawyers asked Judge Mullen to not make this case public. And she eventually didn't make the case public. I don't know, maybe she'll just respect it. Sometimes some judges can just be nice. But now people are saying that she was also into crime and fraud, and she was on the good side of Alec Murdaugh. Probably he bribed her. That was what people thought. I also kind of think that too. His former law firm also on the 6th of October of 2021 also filed a lawsuit on Alec. Wow. Alec was just not catching a break, guys. Like, it's so freaking funny. Like, he's so freaking funny. I'm sure at this point we're just wishing that, the suicide attempts just worked so that he doesn't have to go through all this stress that he's going through right now. My God. So Alec was charged with 2 counts of breach of trust and stolen funds. He appealed for bail and he was denied on the 29th of August in 2019. And he was also to undergo psychiatric evaluation. I don't think he needs to undergo any psychiatric evaluation. He was just so powerful and the law made him untouchable. So he was just power drunk. That was what was wrong with Alec. I know there's nothing wrong with him upstairs. So thank God at the end of the day, everything was fine. He was not like termed crazy, so he gets away with anything. So like, yeah, we thank God for that. So on the 4th of November in 2021, Alec was indicted for filing a false police report, conspiracy, and false claim for payment while he was in court facing the suicide insurance case. I'm sorry guys, I know this is not funny, but like I'm just saying, like I never like gotten a case where someone is just getting piled up on. It's like these people were just waiting for a moment where Alec will be in deep shit, so they just keep piling problems on him. Because let's face it, if he was not already in shit, no one will have the effrontery to come up against a Murdaugh in his own town. It's like, oh my gosh, he's so powerful. Like, I'm just going to ask him to withdraw, or we just have to forget about it. He's going to silence us or probably send people to even kill us, like hire hitmen, like, and now everybody's just coming for him, like diving in to meet the shark and actually killing him. That's basically what the community did at this point. So Curtis, his alleged shooter, was indicted on assisted suicide, assault and battery, and conspiracy to commit insurance crime. I'm actually quite sad for Curtis because I kind of believe him in a way, in the sense that why would he want to kill Alec knowing that he was going to be the last person on the call? It makes sense kind of, but he's just in deep shit at this point. And I think Curtis has a criminal background or something, so they just put him in there. Like, he just got thrown in with the shark, man. But you never know. The police have their reasons. The court has their reasons too. And it might actually be that he was lying. Who am I to judge? On the 9th of December in 2021, 21 new charges were brought up against Alec. I'm sorry, like 21 new charges. Like, save me this. Like, Alec, I can just bet in the back of his mind that he wishes that suicide attempt worked, because imagine going from living so high up there and just everyone that you've ever offended in your past just coming after you. I don't want to be you. I don't want to be you. Jesus. So there were 21 new charges, including 9 counts of breach of trust, 7 counts of computer crimes, 4 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of forgery against his own firm and clients by the end of 2021. So these were all the cases that he had against him. So he basically had a total of 48 indictments against him, and Corey Fleming and he was also revoked of practicing law ever again, their law license. And so that the main case actually was for the murder of his son and his wife. And it turns out right now, just like a month ago or just some weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, he was found guilty. Alec Murdaugh murdered his own son and wife. Why did he do this? You may say. Nobody has any idea why. Like, it's just crazy. Like, from where to where? Why did you murder them? Some people are saying that the wife wanted to divorce him, you know, and he was disappointed in what Paul had done, but I don't think that was it. I think he just went crazy. And Buck actually wasn't around at this point. He was actually in a supermarket or something, you know, he was away. So that's probably why he didn't even get killed. And in the court case, you can actually see Buck's straight face. I think he knows that his dad deserves this and actually wants his dad to get jail time. So Alex Murdaugh was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his wife and his son. You may be wondering where Buster is. Buster is living in South Carolina with his girlfriend, who's a lawyer. And, you know, I don't really know what he's doing, whether he's going to keep on with the family business, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's the end of this crazy in-story case. Like, it's just a great family that came down within like shreds of seconds. Like, it's like, I just don't understand why people that have money just do nonsense. You know, you do nonsense, you just have so much money, you don't know what to use your brain to do. Like, basically just sit back and enjoy life. You know, there are so many people that are like this. Like, what the hell are you doing? Stealing. You're not even going to end up using that money. That's the thing. You're not going to end up using that money. You're going to end up using the money for something so fucking stupid. So it's like you just love seeing the money. Like, you just love having the, I don't know how to explain what's in my head. Like, sometimes I just wonder, like, you have so much money and then you're entering supermarkets and you're stealing, or you're, you know, I just see some things online sometimes that just make me confused. Maybe, you know, it's a rich people problem, but I don't want part of it. I want to be rich though, obviously, but I don't want to be part of like the psychology, the money. I think there's an evil spirit that comes with money sometimes, not every time. And I would never want that, because it's like you have everything and you just get to a realization at one point, like, you know, why did I do that? Like, why did I do this? And it's too late because you're locked behind bars with a dude basically trying to hit you in the kidneys because he's gay. So please, whether you're rich, whether you're not, just anything you want to do, make it legal and lawful. So yeah, that is the end of this case, guys. I hope I educated you guys and gave you like a background progress of basically everything that went on, in a very interesting way, obviously, because I am such a fun person. I'm kidding. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in my next video.